Hi, I'm Kirsty from Kirsty M Design. I design Squarespace websites for independent creative businesses. I also offer monthly support to business owners who have either DIY'd or are now managing and maintaining their own Squarespace website. Today we are looking at adding an accordion block or collapsible text or drop-down text to your Squarespace website using the new Squarespace accordion block. So let's dive into the tutorial now. If you have a frequently asked questions section on your website, adding an accordion block is a great way to make this section more dynamic and interactive for the visitors to your website. It's also really helpful for breaking up longer pieces of text into more manageable and digestible chunks for the visitors. This also works really well on a product listings section. So maybe you're sharing features of a product. You might not want to list everything out at once because it would be quite overwhelming for the reader. But if you break it up into these small headings and allow people to expand, then it's a really nice way to get that information across in a more easy to understand and comprehend way. So we've got this option where you can have everything open at once. So if they did choose to, they could expand all of these features and read everything. In our FAQ section, we've got it set up so that only one section can be open at once. So it's nice and easy for them to not get distracted by the other information, but they can read what they need to. So this is a new block that's been added to Squarespace. So let's dive in and add it to our demo site so you can learn exactly how to use it. So we've got our new blank page here. We'll head into the editor and select add a blank section. Now what we want to do is use the plus icon to bring up our blocks list. And if we type in accordion, that will bring up our accordion block. So you can see already the bare bones of that accordion are in place. If we just come out of here, you can see we've got our question, we've got our plus icon, and if I just come up and save, and then expand just to see how it's going to look in the live site, we can see we've got our description below. So that's the information we're going to need, a title or a question, and then an answer or a description. So if we click on the accordion and go back into settings, the first thing we'll do is set up the content of our accordion. So we'll click on that first item, and here we can either add our title or our question. So I'll keep this really simple and just say question 1. And I'll paste in some placeholder text here for the answer. So we'll do the exact same thing with our second and third questions. Question 2. Now you can have as many of these questions or statements as you want. You will just click add item and then go through the exact same process of adding your question or title and then your answer. Now within the description block, the editing is limited, but we can still add some styling to this content. So if I just add in a longer paragraph here, you can see what we can do is bold our text. Let's just get that little full stop as well. We can also italicize any important content, underline items, and even add a link. So if you wanted to, within one of your answers or your descriptions, you can send people to your contact page. So we'll highlight that text, use the link button, and then add in our contact. And you can see with the styling we've already got in place, that really stands out and is a really nice feature. So now that we've got the structure of our accordion block in place, we can start to add some styling to it. So if we click through to the design tab, we can start working through the different options we've got here. First is the styling of the title or the question and the description. if you click through on title, you'll get many styling options, and these are the preset headings and paragraphs we've already set up within Squarespace. So if you were to click the paintbrush and bring up the site styles, these are the fonts you've already selected within that section. So that means it's great, really consistent with the rest of your site, and it'll pick up any of the styling you've already got in place. So I think heading 4 works really nicely there. What we can also do is change the alignment. So you might want everything to be centered, the question and then the answer all to be centered, and we can do that. I'll leave it just left aligned for this example. Paragraph, we've got those same options. We can choose any of our pre-styled paragraphs. So it could be slightly larger or slightly smaller depending on how you want to convey that information. The width is the amount of space that your text will take up within the block. So medium will crop it to about here. Large would give it the full width, and small will crop it, as you can see there, it crops it down so it kind of returns on itself. I like large because it fills this whole block and it means your spacing will just kind of work nicely. Padding is the sort of space around each of the question boxes. So you'll see if I make that large, we've got some extra space below. Both of these options can be fine-tuned if we use these 3 dots here. It'll allow us to select specific padding for the top, left, right, and the bottom. Finally, we've got our alignment. So I would recommend matching this up to what you've chosen for your question or your title. But we've got our 3 options there as needed. Now we've got design options for the actual accordion block itself. So the first thing we've got here is to expand the first item. So that means when somebody was to land on the page, the first question or the first item would already be opened, and that's quite useful because it tells people how this block works, and it kind of lets them know, oh, okay, if I click on this, I'm going to get some more information. Next, we've got allow multiple items open. So the difference here is, as I showed you in the 2 examples at the start, if we have allow multiple open items, it would allow somebody to click on all 4 of those and they'd all be open at once. Turning that off means only one will ever be open at one time. Then we've got a divider, so that is referring to this line above and between each of these questions. We can simply turn this on or off. We can turn it off for the first and the last, and we can also change the thickness and the opacity. So I think in this example, I'll leave it just as dividers between the questions, but we'll keep it off on the first and the last. Icon refers to, if I just move this box out of the way, the icon that will allow people, or that will tell people that they can do something with this accordion. It can be a plus or an arrow. So obviously these are quite descriptive and it makes it obvious that this will either make it bigger or drop it down. And we can move this to be at the end of the box or at the start. We can also change the sizing of this icon and again fine tune it, or the thickness. So I think we'll go with medium and medium. Finally, we've got row padding. So that is how much space is above and below each of these rows. And just as with all of the kind of sizing options, we can really fine tune this using the 3 dots. Once you're happy with all of your styling options, we can come up and select done and then save. Before I save, I'm just going to do some styling on the actual section. So I think I'll pull that width in slightly. And just a last touch, I will add one of our coloured backgrounds and add in a title. So I'm just going to call this Frequently Asked Questions. We can then centre this up, turn this into a heading. And the last thing I would always do on any kind of page is add a button or a kind of call to action purpose for the page. So we will say something like get in touch and send people towards the contact page. So now we've got our beautifully created and designed FAQs page. We will come up to done and then save. I hope you found this tutorial useful. For more tutorials and more articles about your website and using Squarespace, head over to kirstym.com and you can learn more there.